WrestleMania 31 is ended. It concluded about 5 or 6 minutes ago. Whew, and we got a lot to go through. You know, this is the first WrestleMania I've watched live since WrestleMania 15. That one wasn't 4 hours long. And actually, given the 2-hour pre-show, this is more like 6 hours. Well, let's get to this. You know, starting with the pre-show, or the free-for-all, or the whatever they call it now. You know, it was hosted by Renee Young, Byron Saxton, Corey Graves, and Booker T. Booker T kept plugging his book the whole time. Lito was there for the second hour of the show, taking questions on Twitter. We started with a Rusev Cena vignette, and then we had another vignette backstage with Lana approaching Rusev and promising to never show compassion again. Yeah, I gotta wonder how the pay-per-view distributors keep feeling every time, because the whole pre-show they kept pushing the $9.99. Yeah, you don't want to spend $60 on the pay-per-view. You want to spend $9.99 and get WWE Network online. The reporter Eden, yeah, I don't know who she is, tried to get a backstage interview with Triple H, except Kane got in the way and said no. We then got a Triple H and Sting vignette. We then had another backstage skit with J&J Security bumping into the original Stooges, Briscoe and Patterson, and Briscoe and Patterson sort of mocking them as they walked away. This led into a Orton Rollins vignette. We then got a WrestleMania weekend recap, brief recap of the Hall of Fame. We then got the AJ Lee Page against the Bellas recap. We got an Undertaker Bray Wyatt vignette. And then the hosts talked about the main event with Reigns and Lesnar. They recapped Lesnar re-signing with WWE. Alright, now we're kind of getting into the matches here. Starting off, we have the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the World Tag Team Championships. Kid and Cesaro, the Brass Ring Club, versus the Usos, versus Los Matadores, versus the New Day. Kid and Cesaro actually got a pretty big pop on their way down to the ring. More so than the Usos. Cesaro and Kofi started things off. And then Primo, I'm thinking, was one of the Matadors. I can't tell who they are under the masks. I know it's Primo and Epico, but yeah, so I'm guessing it was Primo. Blind tags Cesaro to enter the match. Cesaro then pulls down, I think they said it was Jey Uso, but then they confused Jimmy and Jey up a lot. It's the one who had the hurt shoulder and got tossed in. He tossed him into the, I don't think it was the ring steps, I think it was the announce table. It was 5 hours ago, folks. And that took out one of the Usos, but the other Usos stayed in the match. Cesaro and Kid hit their drop kick, their spinning drop kick maneuver thing on, I believe it was Kofi Kingston. Jimmy Uso continued on without a partner, as I said. They said it was Jimmy, and then they kept confusing Jimmy and Jey again, so I don't know if I'm getting that right. Kofi hit a springboard splash onto another one of the Matadors. Natalya put El Torito in a sharpshooter. Kofi hit a knee drop on Cesaro for a 2 count. The Matadors hit the Super Sunset Powerbomb on Kofi, but Kid broke up the pin. We had a quadruple suplex with Cesaro, Kofi, one of the Matadors, excuse me, and I want to say it was Tyson Kidd. I may be wrong on that. And then Jey Uso hit his splash, but Cesaro had actually blind tagged. I said Jey Uso again. I'm confusing them. Blind tagged the Uso, and then threw him off of Big E and covered him for the pin, for the 3 count. The Brass Ring Club retained, which is as I predicted. Yeah. After that, Lita answered some questions, and then we got a skit where John Gruden previewed the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, which leads us into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. The King picked Mark Henry, and JPL picked Ryback. My Dark Horse candidate, Curtis Axel, was eliminated first. Basically, everyone ganged up on him and threw him out because he started to do the Axelmania shtick. Early on, Ryback nearly eliminated NXT's Hideo Itami. He won the tournament that was not televised. Fandango and Adam Rose were the next two eliminated. Miz and Mizdow take on Alex Riley. Sort of a funny bit there, as Miz's current protege is taking on Miz's former protege, and Miz and Mizdow eliminated Alex Riley. Bo Dallas eliminated Zack Ryder, and then basically eliminated himself. He didn't quite leave the... He got out of the ring. He did not go over the top rope, but he ran around the ring celebrating, and then he crawled back in and got tossed out. So, make of that what you will. Big Show eliminated Tommy. Los Matadores eliminated Kane. Sin Cara was eliminated by Cesaro. Tyson Kidd was eliminated by Mark Henry. The Ascension eliminated Mark Henry. Ryback eliminated the Ascension, Heath Slater, and Titus O'Neil. Big Show eliminated Jack Swagger, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods. Big Show then eliminated Rowan and Goldust. Cesaro eliminated Kane, Jimmy Uso, and Cesaro... Yep, let me rephrase. Cesaro eliminated Kane, Big Show eliminated Jimmy Uso and Cesaro, and then Show eliminated Ryback. And this left the final three of Miz, Mizdow, and Show. Miz and Mizdow began plotting against Show while he just stood there. Miz kept trying to implement his plan, but Mizdow wasn't having any of it. So Mizdow finally grabbed the Miz, tossed him out of the ring, says he quits being the Miz's assistant, and it leaves it down to just Mizdow and the Big Show. Show gets Mizdow over the top rope, but he barely skins the cat, gets back into the ring, and then Mizdow managed to get Show to the edge of the ring, started trying to flip him over, couldn't quite do it. Show got back into the ring, started putting Mizdow over. Mizdow fought back, but Show eventually landed a big punch, and Mizdow went off the ring, eliminating himself, and Big Show is your Memorial Battle Royale winner. And now on to WrestleMania proper. We started with the Intercontinental title ladder match between Stardust, Ambrose, Daniel Bryan, Luke Harper, Bad News Barrett, Dolph Ziggler, and R-Truth. And starting things off, we had an early montage of suicide dives, highlighted by Dean Ambrose hitting a elbow drop off the ladder onto pretty much all the other competitors. Truth was the first one to bring a ladder into the ring. Another spot, Luke Harper threw a ladder at Daniel Bryan. It basically just went like that and it hit Bryan like square in the face really hard. At one point, Harper, Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett, and Dolph Ziggler were climbing one ladder all at the same time. They all fell off. Ambrose and Ziggler fought on the ladder. Stardust tried to introduce his own ladder, which, if you remember the old Wrestling Society X promotion on MTV, they had the bling ladder. It looked a lot like that, except no CGI sparkles. But unfortunately, Wade Barrett wound up smashing it to bits. And that says something, because that was kind of the high point of this match, because not too long after that, Luke Harper javelined Dean Ambrose into the ladder. Truth hit an axe kick on Harper into the ladder. Harper then... Wade Barrett hit a superplex from the ladder on Stardust. And then Luke Harper powerbombed Dean Ambrose through a ladder and basically just knocked him out for the rest of the match. Harper started climbing the ladder, but Ziggler locked Harper in a sleeper hold and they both wound up falling off the ladder and taking each other out. Daniel Bryan started to climb the ladder, but Ziggler came to and started climbing the ladder too. Ziggler and Bryan were fighting on top of the ladder. Finally, Bryan managed to headbutt Ziggler off the ladder, and claim the IC title, and your new Intercontinental Champion is Daniel Bryan. Okay, our next match is Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins. Early on, Orton went for an RKO a couple of times. One time he got distracted by J&J security. This resulted to Orton rolling out of the ring and doing his hangman DDT to J&J security on the floor, or the area outside the ring, whatever you want to call it. Let's see. Rollins then hit a suicide dive through the ropes. Rollins threw Orton headfirst in the second turnbuckle. Rollins went for the curb stomp, but Orton countered it into a power slam. Rollins hit a springboard moonsault onto Orton and caught on. Orton was outside the ring. Rollins did the springboard moonsault outside of the ring. Managed to hit Orton, but he wound up throwing his own. But Rollins wound up throwing his own back into the announce table. This was not the Spanish one. This was the regular announce table. Orton then hits the hangman DDT on Rollins. Orton countered a Rollins move into an RKO, but only got a 2 count on it. Sorry for the breathing here, folks. Randy went for the punt kick, but then J&J security interfered. Rollins hit a curb stomp on Orton for a 2. Rollins then went for another curb stomp, but Orton managed to counter it up into an RKO and got the 3 count for the victory. Whew. So let's go over my predictions so far. I was right in the Brass Ring Club, or Ken Cesaro retaining the tag titles. I'm not going to count the Andre the Giant thing, because even though I said Big Show had a chance to win, it wasn't exactly my leading choice, so I'll count that as a loss. And the IC title match, I said Bryan was probably going to win. Okay, he didn't turn heel like I said, but he did win that, so I'm going to go with that. And I was wrong on Orton and Rollins. I had Rollins winning that one. But so far, I'm 50-50, which leads us into our 5th match, which is Triple H versus Sting. And the entrances were kind of unique in this one. Sting had this Asian drum quartet beat leading him down to the ring as he came down, and he was waiting. And then Triple H Triple H is getting more and more ornate with his King of Kings entrances. And this one, apparently they decided to do it Terminator. It was Terminator inspired. He was wearing, like, it wasn't just the skull, it was like a cybernized skull. They had the wireframe Terminator skeleton puppets, and you had Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator saying that he'd be back, and it was really hammy, but it was enjoyably hammy. Exactly. I guess now Hunter's going to be angling to play the Terminator and not Conan. Anyway, as the match started, basically Sting and Triple H exchanged takedowns. At one point, Triple H hit his knee to the jaw, but Sting was unfazed. Triple H got tossed out of the ring at one point. Sting went for a stinger splash on the ring barricade, but Triple H dodged it out. Triple H hit the Arn Anderson spinebuster for a 2 count. Sting managed to lock on the Scorpion Deathlock, and then DX shows up and they hit the ring, and it's no disqualification. But Sting manages to toss DX out of the ring, but Triple H goes for a pedigree, but Sting counters. Triple H rolls out of the ring, goes for a sledgehammer, and then the NWO shows up. It's Hall, Nash, and Hogan. And X-Pac was with DX, so it was kind of weird in that sense. But they come down and they start squabbling with DX. They manage to get the back to Sting. Sting hits a Scorpion Death Drop on Triple H for a 2. Then HBK hits the ring and hits Sweet Chin Music on Sting, and Triple H gets a sledgehammer, Sting gets the bat. They start fighting, and Sting takes the baseball bat and just splits the sledgehammer in 2. He then hits a stinger splash on Triple H, but he goes for a second one, and Triple H managed to get his hand on half of the sledgehammer. He pops Sting in his face with the sledgehammer and covers him for the 3 count. And then the weird thing is, after the match, DX and the NWO get into the ring, and they stare each other down, and then Triple H goes over and shakes Sting's hand. And they basically have this, like, okay, make nice now, which, you know, if this match ended clean, maybe I would say I would be okay with that, but it doesn't make any sense when Triple H wins because he hit him with a sledgehammer. Ugh. Although, again, I did say something was going to happen that caused Triple H to get the victory. And so there's going to be some outside schmoz of some sort. So it was right on that one. And that leads us into our concert break. Because that's why people tune in to WrestleMania. For concerts. Anyway, the next match after the concert was the AJ Lee and Paige versus the Bellas matchup. Paige and Nikki started things off. Nikki then knocked AJ off the ring apron and basically knocked her out for a while. Brie was tagged in, hit a drop kick. AJ was still out. AJ started to climb back into the ring. She got knocked out. AJ tried to climb back into the ring again. She got knocked out again. All in the while, you know, they basically were beating on, the Bellas were beating on Paige. Paige finally managed to rally just enough to make it to give AJ the hot tag. AJ comes in, locks the Black Widow on Nikki in the center of the ring. Nikki taps out. Paige and AJ win. We then get the Hall of Fame ceremony recap, and the inductees are introduced live. Sorry for the edit there, guys, but I'm trying to get through this as quickly as I can. Our next match is the United States Championship match. Rusev versus John Cena. And this was kind of unique too. Rusev gets introduced on a tank and he gets led to the ring by a Russian flag and everything. And Lana comes down and she's holding the belt and everyone's standing there and, well, not really cheering. The funny thing is, Cena then gets introduced by all these presidents talking about how it's great to be in America. All these presidential speeches, Ronald Reagan and John Kennedy and Dwight D. Eisenhower and George W. Bush and and Ronald Reagan, if I haven't said that already. And yet, Cena still gets booed on his way down to the ring. You have the, it's great to live in America. Cena sucks. It was funny. And Rusev's early on, Cena got in a couple early licks, but Rusev takes over. Rusev then, for some reason, as he knocked Cena down, decided to pick up the Russian flag and begin swinging it around the ring. And he got kicked in the head for that. Cena goes in for an attitude adjustment, but Rusev countered. The crowd then started chanting in support of Lana. Shows you how much they cared for this match. Cena locks in the STF, but Lana distracts the referee by grabbing one of her shoes and throwing it across the ring. And this enabled Rusev to kind of work his way to the ropes. Rusev then hit a top rope headbutt for a 2 count. Rusev locked in the accolade, but Cena then stood up and drove Rusev into the corner. Cena locked on the STF a second time. Rusev was trying to get to the ropes. Lana again tries to distract the referee. This enabled Cena to break. Cena then broke the hold. Rusev kind of rallied, charged after Cena to deliver a clothesline, winds up hitting Lana as he crashes into the ropes. And Cena hits the attitude adjustment on Rusev for the win. Your new United States champion, John Cena. We then return to the kickoff show crew again. They recap the matches on the pre-show. And then we have a really pointless vignette in where Triple H and Stephanie come out and address the crowd. They talk about all these people showed up, and it's because of them. And then The Rock shows up and starts jawing and... Yeah, finally, he starts making fun of Stephanie, and Stephanie slaps him. He says, "Oh, what are you going to do, Rock?" And so Rock leaves the ring, starts to walk, turns to the crowd, and remembers that Ronda Rousey is in the club. He brings Ronda Rousey into the ring. There's this big schmoz with them. Ronda Rousey actually judo flips Triple H judo flipped Stephanie, and yeah, they really didn't need to do that. Like, Triple H already got his thing with Sting. Did we really need to get that done? And not to mention, around this time, too, I don't know if this happens with a lot of other people. I don't normally watch pay-per-views live. I've been watching them on delay. But as I was watching the live feed, it started, like, jumping around. Every time in the middle of the segment, it kept jumping back to the Divas tag match. Exactly. It didn't stop doing that until the next match began, which was Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. And, you know, both Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker have really cool entrances. They have real cool entrances for WrestleMania, but both these guys have really great entrances that involve being in the dark. And the sun was still showing in San Francisco at this point, so their entrances lost a little bit of the gravitas, unfortunately. Anyway, Wyatt immediately charges The Undertaker at the beginning of the match, took a boot to the face. Taker manages to hit the old school. The crowd was pretty divided between Wyatt and The Undertaker, so that was pretty good at least. Wyatt began to gain the upper hand. The Taker locked in Hell's Gate, but Wyatt fought out of it. Wyatt went for Sister Abigail. Undertaker countered it into a choke slam. Undertaker to Tombstone for a 2 count. Wyatt then hit Sister Abigail for a 2 count. Wyatt went for a second Sister Abigail. Undertaker countered that into a Tombstone for a 3 count. So The Undertaker wins again. And to recap, I had Triple H winning in the schmaz. I had Cena winning over Rusev. I had Undertaker winning, but I am winning by DQ, so I'll count that as a loss. Which brings us to the main event, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Oh boy. This was a really mixed up match. We start off, Reigns takes an immediate fight to Lesnar, throws a punch, manages to cut Lesnar just underneath his eye, but then Lesnar starts battling back and hits an F5 right off the bat. But he doesn't go for the pin. Instead, he just keeps suplexing Reigns over and over and over again. At one point, Reigns got launched off the ring apron into the barricade. Then Reigns started to make some way back, and then Lesnar just started suplexing him again. Lesnar then hit a second X5, but he only got a 2 count this time. Lesnar then removed his MMA gloves and began slapping Reigns. I don't know what that really means, but okay. Lesnar hit a third F5 for a 2 count. Then they managed to roll out of the ring, and Reigns rammed Lesnar headfirst into the ring post and drew some hardway blood on him. Then Reigns and Lesnar got back into the ring. Reigns hit 2 Superman punches. He went for a third and missed. He countered a Brock Lesnar suplex and landed a third Superman punch, but only got a 2 count on it. Lesnar countered another Superman punch into an F5, and that's when Seth Rollins showed up. He cashed in Money in the Bank, which immediately made the match a triple threat match. Rollins hits a curb stomp on Lesnar, but only gets a 2. Lesnar goes for an F5 on Rollins, but Reigns spears him. And in the midst of all this, Lesnar falls out of the ring. A winded Reigns tries to get to his feet, but gets curb stomped by Rollins. Rollins pins Reigns for the win, and your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion is Seth Rollins. But, boy, like I said, I don't know what to make of this, because it was kind of cool to see the Money in the Bank get cashed in at WrestleMania, but I always harken back to Artie Reynolds' and the book Death of WCW by Artie Reynolds and Brian Alvarez. There's a difference between beating a guy and putting him over. Reigns did not look good in this match at all. He was getting his butt kicked. he was getting the snot kicked out of him a lot. And he got in a few lucky punches, and it looked like he was beginning to rally, and that's when Rollins showed up. Exactly. It would have been better if, say, like I said, either Lesnar just, Reigns just ran out of juice, or maybe gotten another lucky punch in on Lesnar and covered him for a 3, but they were both so winded they couldn't do anything when Rollins hit the ring. Instead, Rollins cashes it in the middle of the match, and it really, again, kind of this weird train wreck. It was an enjoyable train wreck, but it was still kind of a train wreck. But, overall, most of these matches were pretty darn good. The Divas match was a little lacking. Sting and Triple H was a bit of a schmoz, but I think it needed to be. I mean, both those guys are pretty old. Undertaker and Bray Wyatt was better than I think it had any right to be, because, Taker really hasn't worked out in a year. I know a few months ago he had a really bad stomach virus or something. He lost a lot of weight. But he managed to get back into a shape and had at least a watchable match. The ladder match was pretty ho-hum. I mean, like I said, the high point involved the ladder being destroyed. But, overall, this was a pretty middle-of-the-road WrestleMania, but it was still enjoyable. I don't regret watching it. And, that's about all I've got. I'm tired. I've got to start rendering and editing this. See you next time.